time to speak. I also want to thank the committee staff and Representative Collins for working in a bipartisan manner to put together, I think, a very good piece of legislation that will accelerate the commercialization of federally funded research and technology. Prior to coming to Congress, I worked at the Economic Development Board in Tacoma. We had a sign up in our office that said, "We are competing with everyone, everywhere, every day, forever." If America is going to remain competitive in the 21st century economy, we need to raise our game. And efforts like the Transfer Act, in my view, are a step in the right direction. Taking basic research that's conducted in laboratories and translating that research into commercial products not only creates opportunities for American innovation, but also creates and sustains jobs. In 2012, the Federal Government funded more than $131 billion in research and development activities. Many researchers, entrepreneurs, and small businesses face difficulties proving the merit of their ideas and bringing their ideas to the marketplace. Providing this initial seed funding and establishing a Phase 0 encourages mentoring partnerships with the research and business worlds, allowing for promising technologies to move forward. I believe that this legislation will help bridge the valley of death from research to commercial activities while helping create opportunities for universities, labs, and small businesses. I recognize that this is the first step of many, and with the current budget climate, finding viable sources of funding is difficult. And I agree with the Ranking Member Johnson's earlier comments that we need to work closely with the small business community to ensure that funding for this legislation is worked out constructively, and I look forward to working with Representative Collins in that regard. Again, I thank the committee staff, and I thank the Chairman and Ranking Member, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Thank Mr. Collins and Mr. Kilmer for their important work on this bill. I just wanted to echo Mr. Kilmer's comments and the Ranking Member's comments. It's an important piece of legislation. I have heard from some small businesses in Massachusetts about the importance of the SBIR and STTR programs and their funding streams. So I hope that we're able to work out a long-term solution here as well. So thank you very much for the time, Mr. Chairman.
I want to applaud your work on this, as well as the work of Mr. Collins and Mr. Kilmer and Ranking Member Johnson. Last week, I held a roundtable on technology transfer in Chicago with some private sector and university experts. They came together to talk about what the Federal Government could do to partner with them to create a better innovation ecosystem at our research universities and national labs. And the proof of concept activities that this bill would authorize were mentioned by several panelists is one of the things we needed to do more of. I've always been a big proponent of Federal support for such activities, and in the last SBIR STTR reauthorization, I inserted a provision giving the NIH the authority to create a proof of concept pilot program. Since the time of our hearing on the Transfer Act in July, the NIH has acted on the pilot program authority, creating 3 centers for accelerated innovations that would give grants to researchers looking to develop their research findings into potential new technology or product. A few weeks ago, I met to discuss NIH's work on the centers and was impressed with what they've done. Their plan is to help researchers engage stakeholders at the FDA and USPTO in an early stage to give the researchers an idea of what hurdles they would face and what data would be needed to move forward. They will also make entrepreneurial education resources available and connect researchers with venture capitalists and established entrepreneurs to give them feedback and information about how to commercialize their work. Centers like those that the NIH has started, in which this bill could support, will go a long way in creating a more integrated culture of entrepreneurship and innovation around our universities. This will help leverage our investments in basic research and create more high-tech companies and jobs that will help get the economy moving again. This helps get taxpayers the highest possible return on their investments, which we all know is especially critical right now. So I'm very proud to co-sponsor this bill. I think this is something that we need to be doing more of. This really does fit, as Mr. Collins says, as SBIR Phase 0. It will really do a lot, I believe, to get this great research that our Federal Government is investing in at universities and our research labs to create more products and more jobs out of that research. I also want to thank Mr. Collins for language in the manager's amendment that would change the length of time that these grants could be used for. The 3-year cap was seen as too short for proper program evaluation by some of the stakeholders I spoke with on this issue. So I urge my colleagues to support this bill, and with that, I'll yield back.
I'd like to thank my colleagues for the bipartisan work on this legislation, and I'm fully supportive of the bill's goal to improve the commercialization of federally funded R&D by focusing on proof of concept or translational research and creating a suite of services and support for the startup companies from our universities and federal labs. However, as I mentioned in my opening statement, the small business community recently expressed concern about using a portion of the TTR funds for the activities authorized in the bill. This is a problem that needs to be addressed if the bill has any chance, really, of moving forward. Unfortunately, we do not have the option of simply authorizing monies to carry out the program because our Republican leadership has prohibited, frankly, consideration of bills authorizing a new program without offsetting it. This would be the simplest solution, but it is apparently not available to us. As I've stated previously, we need to get back to the approach of legislating that has served this committee well for many decades by authorizing worthy programs and stop resigning our responsibility and shifting it over to the appropriators. I'm afraid we are putting ourselves in a position where good legislation such as this will just lie on the table as we try to jump through hoops to establish needlessly convoluted funding streams. I'm hopeful that we can work together to find a solution that will bring all the stakeholders together so that we can move this important bill forward. And I'll yield back the balance of my time.